Hey guys, good morning. I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about something that I have observed over the years. It's really important. I've learned a lot about this from a lot of my mentors in the past. It's not that I'm that smart. It's that I have been really blessed to be around people that have gone before me, and being able to understand the patterns that I see between them, and seeing how they live their life in totality, not just what it looks like on social media or when they're standing at the front of the room talking to people, but to be around them and to learn from them and to look for commonalities. And then when I take that information and then I take what I've learned from my clients. See, the thing about what I do is when you coach this many people over a certain amount of time, you start to recognize patterns that show up. You start to recognize things that serve people and that really help people out, and then you start to recognize patterns that don't help people, that actually are negative patterns that can really hurt them. And so one of the patterns I've noticed is that a lot of people, especially high performing individuals that have had a business or just hard workers, whatever they might be, they think that that the happiness in their life is going to be directly proportional to the amount of discipline and motivation and just grinding and hard work. They think that those are the keys to success. And while I'm not diminishing those things, I'm here to say that there's something way more powerful and undercurrent that I think a lot of people miss. And I would call that the power of intentions. What are your intentions behind what you're doing? Because if you get really clear on why you're doing what you're doing, and the outcome or the feeling or the experience you want to have based upon that decision of what are your intentions, when you get really clear on that, it's amazing how much easier life becomes, how things start to show up in your life. And I know sometimes this can sound really woo-woo to a lot of people, and I get it. But when you've seen it and experienced it so many times, every time, and you've watched when people shift their pattern from instant gratification to, hey, what are my intentions behind this thing that I'm doing, this business I'm doing, or this behavior I have, or going to the gym, or volunteering somewhere. What are my intentions behind these actions? And when you go deeper to that level, and when you understand that if you really start to focus on what it is you want in life, not how you're going to get it. I think a lot of us have been trained and conditioned to think about, okay, I have to do this, and I got to do that, and I got to do this, and I got to do that, and then I'll get X, Y, Z. And while that can be true in the beginning, and especially on a superficial level, what is more important is what is the end result that I want. Because, and that's the same thing as saying, what are my intentions? Because unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that are really successful looking, especially on social media. But trust me, they're inside, they're tore up, because what their intentions are is to line their own pocketbook. It's not to help people. It's not to make a difference. And that's the problem I see, is this chasing instant gratification. That may get you the feeling that you want, but chasing what your intentions are, that will determine who you actually become. And that's a whole different thing. Because the problem with instant gratification is it's like this dopamine hit after dopamine hit after dopamine hit, and it feels good, and then it feels bad, and then it feels good, and then it really feels bad. And when you become aligned with your intentions and what you actually want to do, what you actually want your life to look like, the kind of person you want to become, then the motivation comes, then the discipline comes, because you know that if you have positive intentions, literally the universe will line up to help you, that people will show up in your life, opportunities will present themselves that you never saw coming or you never could have chased down, because the universe has God, whatever you want to say, has a way of rewarding people with positive intentions and people that are really clear on what their intentions are. So we really need to be cognizant of what our intentions are and shift from this instant gratification that will get you these momentary feelings of good and like you're doing good. But the problem is when things aren't going good, then you think there's something wrong with you. Then you think, the world is against you. You start having all these goofy thoughts. And when your intentions are good, then you have to focus less on the outcome, because the outcome will always be what you intend it to be. Now, it may not be tomorrow. It may not be 6 months from now. It may not be a year from now. It may not be 5 years from now. But if you continue to be super clear on what it is that you want, how you want your life to look, the impact you want to have while you're here on earth for this very, very short time. If you focus on what it is that you want and you have good intentions about that, it will absolutely happen. And I can say that with 100% certainty just because I've seen it happen over and over and over with clients. When we quit focusing on, I want to get this, I want to get that, this short-term thing, I want to get to a certain weight. And then we start digging deeper. Why do you want to get to that certain weight? What are your intentions? And if your intentions are just so you look really good in the mirror and they're all coming from your ego, those will be really short term, and you'll really have to keep chasing them your whole life. And when you have better intentions about why you want that certain physique, or why you want that certain lifestyle, or why you want that certain amount of impact in helping other people, when you get really clear on that, it's simply amazing at how these things start to line up, seemingly out of nowhere, but they're not out of nowhere. There's an energy in the universe, whatever you want to call it. There's an energy out there, and when your energy aligns with those good intentions, they absolutely show up in your life. And like I said, I can promise you that, because I've experienced this in my own life, and I've seen so many men that I've coached absolutely turn their life around when they start focusing on what their intentions are, and they have good intentions, and quit focusing on the outcome, because the short-term outcome, there may be something wrong with something you think, or something incorrect would be a better way of putting that. And sometimes we need to learn lessons. And so when we don't get that instant gratification, but we have good intentions long term, yeah, sometimes there'll be roadblocks come in front of us, but those are simply lessons that we needed to learn. They're simply trying to teach us what we need to become that kind of person. And when we live from that viewpoint and we live with that positive intention, it's crazy how everything changes for people. And so you switch to a more meaningful life, and more importantly, as we get older, some sort of lasting legacy, something that really makes an impact, really makes a difference in other people's lives. And that's the exact reason that I've created this Anti-Fragile Brotherhood. It's because I want to help people understand and be really clear on what their intentions are. What do they intend this last third of their life to look like? And when they get really clear on that, when they get really clear on what their gifts are, and they're really clear on what their goals are, and they have the right intentions, it absolutely will work out that way. And so I hope that makes sense to you. If there's something you're working on or some roadblock that you're having, reach out, send me a message, vital, let me know what you're struggling with, and we'll have a conversation about this, because it's so important to understand this difference, because these people that go through grinding and thinking they need more motivation and more discipline and just working harder and they're not getting the satisfaction they want out of life, it's simply because they're not really clear on their intentions. And so reach out. That's what we're here for, to help. If you have any questions or comments, certainly reach out. I'd love to hear from all of you. And but really spend some time thinking about that, because it's a game changer for everybody that actually goes through that exercise. So take care. I appreciate you all being here, and like I say, reach out, comment, vital, and we'll have a conversation. Have a good day.